This is my Volkswagen Golf R32, and today I'm going to tell you why it looks like this instead of like this. Alright, I had a bit of a problem, but we'll get to that in a second. In 2023, I had one goal and one goal only: to fulfill the dream of a much younger Nick and drive his very own car on a real-life race circuit. And here's how I did it. The Golf was the first car I ever bought, all the way back in 2014, when I looked like this. Mega cringe. Well, I'm still cringe, but I was more cringe back then. And the search started off slowly. Very slowly. But I knew what I had to do. The Golf isn't actually road legal, even though there's a license plate on the back. And if you're a police officer watching this, I never drive it on the road. I promise. So that's why I had to buy this. This is my Canada's trailer. It's made by Canada Trailers, and it's an 18-foot car trailer, car hauler, whatever you want to call it. I know nothing about the world of towing, so it's all super basic, but it does get the job done, which is perfect for what I need. It can get the Golf to and from the racetrack, and in the future, if I get invited to any cool events and they're a little far away, well, I can load any car on the back of the trailer and use it. Let me talk you through it though. We've got some ramps on the back, which are nowhere near long enough for what I need, so I need to add a ramp, and then a ramp, and then that ramp, and then a piece of wood, which is very inconvenient. We do have these stabilizer bars to make getting the cars on and off a lot easier than they otherwise would be. We've got D-ring stake pockets, which are super, super strong and make sure the car doesn't move around. And you know, well, one thing, me being me, I managed to park a very hot tire on it, and I've already burnt rubber into the wood, which is not a great look. And that's about it. That's the trailer. So now that we've got the car ready to go and we've got the trailer, we can go anywhere we need to. We just need to figure out a place to race. So I hit up Google again and I found two options. Number one, autocross. This is the MCO, which is autocross, which is extremely easy to explain, very difficult to actually drive. All you need to do is navigate the path outlined by a bunch of cones and do it as fast as you can. Autocross is awesome, and it's probably one of the cheapest ways to get into real-life motorsports. I wanted something, though, where I could maybe use some of my wheel-to-wheel racing skills from sim racing and see how those apply in real life. And that's when I stumbled upon this place. Welcome to Calabogie Motorsports Park. Let's get one thing out of the way right at the start. This place is awesome. Throughout my life, I've been pretty lucky to drive cars around a bunch of different circuits, whether that be with my own cars or using cars from other people or renting cars and things like that. And I can promise you one thing. They are always very confusing to set up. Sometimes you won't know what class you're in, sometimes you won't know what days are available, sometimes you won't know, am I allowed to drive then? This place makes it easy. All I did was search them up online, they appeared, and then they have this really awesome like flow chart that you kind of fit yourself into. If you're a novice, you go in the novice stuff. If you're an intermediate, you go in the intermediate stuff. And if you're advanced, you go in the advanced stuff. It's simple, it's effective, and it's a great way for everybody to figure out what class they're in and what they should be doing, what they should be driving, when they should be driving, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I booked in for this. It's an HPDE event, which basically stands for High Performance Driving Education. That E is very important because you're not racing. You're not going against the clock. You are learning. You're learning the track. You're learning your car. You're learning how to drive your car and so much more. So let's talk about it. So we loaded the car up on the trailer, towed it down to the track with the Raptor, and the day started off slowly with some classroom sessions so you could learn like how to take a racing line, the flags and things like that. Super basic stuff. I also spotted these in the parking lot, cool TCR cars, and it was time to get on the track. So this is James. James is my instructor, my driving coach for the day, and he is an awesome driver. He actually took me out in his car a little bit later. You'll see that in a second. But it was time to jump on the circuit for the very first time and tackle this monstrous race circuit for myself. Fun fact, this is actually the biggest racetrack in all of Canada. It is over 5 kilometers long. There are 20 corners here, and each of them are different and unique and require you to do something different, and it's a very challenging place if it is your first time. but also a very rewarding place when you actually start to get it. And that's actually James's job, to teach me my way around this monstrous race circuit. From the big things like where you should be braking, where you should be getting on the power, where you should be turning in, and so much more. But also the smaller things that you might not actually think are important, but are very, very important. For example, like all the racing flags. At one point during my day, they actually threw a red flag just so you would see if you were paying attention or not. Red flag means you need to stop at the next marshal post, and if you don't stop at the next one, you failed the test, you weren't paying attention. You also might have noticed it's a massive downpour. This is actually my first time ever driving around a race circuit in the rain, which was super scary, but also super fun because the Golf worked perfectly for it. One of the things that we did throughout the day that I found super helpful and probably taught me more than anything was to almost do a little bit of follow the leader. James would point out one of the cars who was doing things correctly and just say, try to follow them and see what happens. So now here's the deal. Although it's not a performance event, you can actually see some massive progression from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So let's talk about lap times. Just for the record, officially, you're not actually supposed to be recording lap times during these sessions, but since I had the GoPro strapped to the car, you can kind of do your own math and figure out your lap time. So, that's what I did. Not even joking though, my first lap out on the circuit was a 3:51, which is extremely slow. If you want to do the math and figure out what the average speed is for that over 5 kilometers, it's slow. Barely breaking the speed limit. But then with the help of James's awesome coaching and being able to see what other drivers are doing, and at the same time talking to other coaches like throughout the lunch hour and stuff, I was able to bang in a 3:22 lap time, which is a massive improvement, shaving off 30 seconds from our first ever lap. And then by the end of the day, in the rain, we were able to do a 3:13, which is still slow. Very slow, but it is a massive improvement from where we started the day. So that was day number 1 completed, and it was awesome. But I had to book a second day, and that's exactly what I did, and it was a lovely sunny day, so we could get some actual performance out of the Golf. So we're back on the circuit for day number 2, this time in the dry with James, and he was like, you want to come take some passenger laps in my car? This is a Mazda MX-5 Cup car. Yes, basically the exact same cars that I drive all the time in iRacing. And you know how in the game, you're like, those are a little slow. In real life, most definitely not. I'm not even joking when I say it. I think this is probably one of the most fun cars I have ever been in, and James at the wheel was absolutely insane. He was keeping up with this radical for a little bit and then overtaking everything in his sight, whether that be a Porsche or a BMW race car. He got them all. This thing was awesome. I have always loved these MX-5s, and to actually sit in one and get a couple of laps as a passenger in one was awesome. Anyways, though, back to the Golf. Let's jump back on the circuit and bang in a bunch more laps. This time, obviously, it was dry. It was actually super hot this day as well. That'll come into play in a second. Again, though, with James's awesome coaching, he was able to guide me through this behemoth of a circuit, put in some good lap times. We were able to get a 2:56, and then by the end of the day, drop it down to a 2:49. But there was a problem. It was so hot on this day, my brain started to melt. And driving around a racetrack and your brain cooking do not go hand in hand. And that's when this happened. All things considered, not the worst crash in history, but definitely a skill issue. Whatever though, we left the circuit, sat down for a little bit, regathered ourselves, and hit up the circuit for our 6th and final session of the day. And that's when things went from bad to worse. Yep, we broke the exhaust. Fast forward a couple of days, now that we're home, we've got the car back in the garage and I've got it up on the ramps and we can climb underneath to see what broke.
Oh no!
I need to go millennial mode to film this, but that pipe is no longer connected.
That's certainly a problem. It looks like we're gonna need to get our exhaust welded. That's probably gonna be the cheapest way to actually fix that up. I don't think I'm gonna get a new one. And at the same time, I also need some new tires because I absolutely ripped them up. However, the next time we're on track, we won't be driving this. We're gonna be driving this. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I blew up my car. See you next time.